we got to talk about Nick Sirianni. We got to talk about the energy. I heard you guys were ripping him to shreds. I
And
liked it. I liked it.
Exactly. And you know what? That comes from my ignorance of not seeing the press conference. I just took the word of Harry saying he said something about rock, paper, scissors. And I took that and ran with it. But, I had to go in and do my research. I watched it. And that's what I needed to see from him the first day. It wasn't scripted. It was him being him. And to me, that's what you need to be. He can get along here. If he knows how to coach, he'll do fine here in Philadelphia because that's what we as fans want. We want somebody that's real.
Like it said right there, we need you guys to subscribe and or do us a favor. Tell your buddies to subscribe. If you're enjoying Birds 365, if you're enjoying the middle, get on the JAKIB Media channel and get your friends to subscribe to us as well. John McMullen, Jody McDonald here with you. We bring in our bud, our brother from another mother, Big Bad Barrett Brooks, former Eagles offensive lineman and co-host of The Middle. How are you, Barrett?
I'm appreciating this, man. I'm up with the varsity, so I'm with the varsity today. I was tired of being down there with them JV guys at 11 o'clock. Whoa. I'm here with the varsity now.
Wow, it sounds like there's the same kind of dissension on the middle as maybe in the Eagles draft room.
Well, it's not like it's just peachy clean up there. It's one of those things. It's an environment where you have to be on your toes all the time. They talk things other than what I want to talk about football.
Oh yeah. Aton and Harry are famous for derailing things. Right. That's what they do.
That's what I'm saying, man. You just got to be on your toes all the time, man. But I mean, just looking at the stream, man. You guys talking a lot about what's going on with this draft coming up here next week, huh?
Yeah, you're the stream guy, so you keep an eye on the stream more than I do.
I do,
but
all the time.
I will say, well, before we get to the draft, because I want to talk to you about the offensive line. We just had a big discussion about Elijah Barrett Tucker because, Daniel Jeremiah talked about how clean he is as a prospect, how safe he is as a prospect. So I want to get into that with you. But first off, we got to talk about Nick Sirianni. We got to talk about the energy. I heard you guys were ripping him to shreds. I liked it. I liked it.
Exactly. And you know what? That comes from my ignorance of not seeing the press conference. I just took the word of Harry saying he said something about rock, paper, scissors. And I took that and ran with it. But, I had to go in and do my research. I watched it. And that's what I needed to see from him the first day. It wasn't scripted. It was him being him. And to me, that's what you need to be. He can get along here. If he knows how to coach, he'll do fine here in Philadelphia because that's what we as fans want. We want somebody that's real, who's not going to sugarcoat it, who's not going to give us the company line. We knew who Andy Reid was because he came in and, hey, I'm not going to talk about that or, I just got to teach my guys better. We knew what to expect from him. Well, this guy, we don't know what to expect because we didn't get him. We finally got him. I see who he is now, and I'm good with it. He's just a guy that's very passionate, reminds me a lot of Harbaugh, especially when he first started out. I see it as an opportunity for him to go out there and show who he is. So, yes, my ignorance, I take it, and I have to apologize for just reacting off of what Harry said as opposed to seeing exactly what was said.
See, now I'll cut you some slack here, Barrett, and give you a ton of credit. You guys were on the air while the press gathering was taking place. Yep. So you couldn't sit there and watch it and hang on every single word and parse out everything that they were saying. And I guess Harry gave you some bad insight or info. So you did step out against the coach. It's good of you to admit your mistake and say, no, we like a guy. Here's my take on it. I liked it. I'm with Johnny Mac completely. I think he's honest. I think he's enthusiastic. I think he's genuine. Some guys are rah-rah, but that they're putting on a show. I don't believe that at all with this new head coach. It can cut either way. If it works and you're winning and he's that type of a guy, the players will jump on the bandwagon and be rah-rah with him. If they're losing, it'll get old fast and guys will start rolling their eyes and tune him out. We don't know which way it's going to go just yet, but you're a former player. You'd know better than me. Is my assumption correct that it depends on the final score at the end of the day as to whether the way that Nick Sirianni does his business, states his business, will or won't work in a locker room.
Well, you know what? There's three things that the players really make sure that, they can win a player over and make sure that you keep the players in the right state of mind. Number one, you got to be upfront. You can't lie to them. Just tell them the truth. Good, bad, or indifferent, tell them the truth. BC, Bill Cowher's famous for that. He'll tell you the truth. Good, bad, or indifferent. Number two, can he make me better? I mean, if he can go out there and make me better, even in losing times, if I feel myself getting better, I see us going in the right direction, the players will stay on there. And then number three, he's just got to be genuine. I mean, if you're a player's coach, be a player's coach. If you're not a player's coach, if you're a guy that dictates to your to your other coaches on that are position coaches, and that's how you get your mode of operation on how to play, how you're going to play for this team, then be that guy. There are certain people that try to be, straddle that fence, and if a player sees that, they're not going to want to ride with you. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a head coach and you are who you are as far as a rah-rah guy, Cal was a rah-rah guy. I had, guys like Butch Davis. Hated Butch Davis. Everybody hated Butch Davis because he had his forked tongue, man. He out there selling, whatever. He tried to sell you everything, knowing everything was a lie. So players don't trust him; they're not going to play for you. If you go out there, just like Ray Rhodes. Ray Rhodes was, he was just one of those guys that, hey, he's not going to sugarcoat anything. He's going to tell you how it is, and he's going to give you a couple MFs throughout your conversation with him. Players just want genuineness. You know what I'm saying? Be who you're going to be. So like I said, number one, you can't lie to them. Number two, can you get me better? And number three, be who you are. If we see those type of things, we'll ride with that coach till the end. We'll give him everything we got.
And I think the most important part of what you said there, Barrett, is it can be done different ways. And it's all about, from a player's perspective, it's all about how you connect with the players. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you guys are paying any attention to press conferences. So unless some of that seeps in, and everybody's making a big deal about the Rochambeau, about the rock, paper, scissors, you guys don't care about that.
Not at all. They're going to look at that like, all right, whatever. That first team meeting, he has to make sure that he wins those guys over. He has to make sure that they understand who he is. He has to define the relationship between he and his team. If he goes in, and it can be a relationship where he's going to be an a-hole. If he's an a-hole, they'll respect that, and they'll know how to conduct themselves accordingly. If he comes in as a totalitarian, they'll respect that and adjust and play accordingly. If he comes in as one of those guys who want to love up on you, they'll respect that. And, as they go forward, they'll learn how to adjust and play the way this coach wants them to play. But he has to make sure he's genuine with them. He doesn't lie to them, and make sure that he gets them better. And that's the biggest thing. These guys want to get better. This team does not want to lose. They want to know that this coaching staff can make them better players. And if they make them better players, they'll become a better team.
Let me disagree with my partner here just a little bit, and I need you to either verify or tell me that I'm wrong, Barrett. John just said the players don't listen to press conferences. Well, when you were playing, Barrett, I believe that was the case because you either had to tune in at the exact time to the radio or buy a newspaper to be able to see the quotes from your coach in a press conference from the day before. Not anymore. If you got a phone and you know how to work it and punch up YouTube, you could have watched yesterday's press gathering an hour after it took place, 2 hours after, 4 hours. It's not all that hard to get your information about something your coach had said after the fact. Now, this is 2021 we're talking about. The rules and the technology have changed a little bit. So if you have talked to any players over the last couple of years and asked them about what the organization was saying or what the coach or someone was saying about them, are they more cognizant? Do they follow it more closely than when you were a player? Do you believe that?
They'll have instant access to them. People have instant access to them just because of the nature of how social media is and how, these guys digest their media. Of course, they'll have that, but they're not going to care about him talking about some rock, paper, scissors. All they're going to care about is, can this guy make us better? Because at this point, this team needs to get better. with the talent that they have. And that's huge to them. Right now, they feel as though they're the laughing stocks of the NFL. They want to get out of this hole, get out of this pit. And he's the guy that's in charge of them going out there and getting out of this pit. Now, with instant access and them being, having that readily available, they do have a sense of, all right, what's going on with this guy? I haven't met him yet. So, is this guy really, what we just saw? But, as they get to know this coach, I believe that they'll fall into line. But I tell you what, put it like this. If they had social media back when I was playing, half the NFL would be out in jail or in parts unknown. Seriously, maybe this is back in the day where guys used to smoke cigarettes at halftime. Kurt Gervais used to be in the back of the locker room smoking a square. Said he hey, Ray Bob, telling Ray Bob, I need a lighter. He's like, man, you got to go to my office for that, man. It's in my office. This is at halftime. It was different back then. Willie T playing a video game at halftime. At that point, it was just a different type of environment. Guys knew how to take care of business, but they didn't have that instant access. Stuff that was said in the media would just roll off their backs. These days, these kids are sensitive. They find out stuff, they're real sensitive. Oh, Barrett, you said this. Okay, I did say that. Well, why would you say that? Because I know the game. I didn't got to, heated arguments with players. In fact, me and Kelsey had a talk one time. I'm like, yo, bro. He's like, B, why would you say that? I was like, I'm telling you the truth. Right. Well, how do you know? You don't know the play. I said, I do know the play. That was a screenplay. On the screenplay, first guy out, he's got to get the mugger. He's got to get the guy that's one-on-one with the back. Second guy out has to get out to the widest man on the field, get on the numbers, and make sure that he leads them down that path, the numbers. That's where we say the screen is supposed to go to. I said the next guy out, check backside to see if there's anybody tracking the screen from the backside. Then he goes up the field and gets him a block. And say, am I wrong? No, you're right, Bubba. I said, whoa, Kelsey. I'm just saying, I just told what the play was. You didn't get to the second, you didn't get the mugger, and the mugger blew it up. Well, B. Brooks, man, just don't be saying about it. I was all right, man, we'll go, Yeah. But as long as you're honest to a player, we're good. Yeah,
Barrett's right. Guys are so much more sensitive just over my 25 years covering the league. Nelson Aguilar, I once said Golden Tate, they just acquired Golden Tate. I said, this is a proven player. Nelson wasn't playing well. They brought him here for a reason. He should be the slot receiver. Nelson knew that, man. Next time I was in the locker room, he's like, what are you saying, man? I'm like, what? It's unbelievable how sensitive certain players will be in this type of environment. Also understandable. But I want to shift gears with you, Barrett, because now you've done your research. There were 3 people on that dais yesterday. What do you think of the performance of Howie Roseman and Andy Weidl? Anything stick out to you?
Well, I still don't see how Andy Weidl's I see his role. I see what he is. He's going to give them a game plan. He's going to give them a list of guys and what they bring to the table as far as how they can help a team. Now, the decision makers, Howie Roseman, will he listen to that? How much of an input will Andy Weidl have? And I still don't know. Because I think Andy Weidl is very, very sharp. I think he's a really good evaluator of talent. He comes from that old school Baltimore regime where they know how to look at players and evaluate talent, and that's why they were so successful, when he was there. But I will say this. I still don't know how the head coach and what how much of the stock will he have in there. It still seems like to me the majority of the decision make 60% is going to be Howie. Then it might be right about 20% for Andy Weidl. And I'm thinking, not a lot at all. Like what, 10% for coaches and another 10% for the scouts. That's to me that's too big of a piece of a pie for Howard to wield that power. I think he really needs to invest in the guys and that do that work. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what Andy Weidl does. He puts the time in to evaluate talent and see how it can help the team.
Let me get back to those overly sensitive players you were referencing, Barrett, because there was a big chunk of yesterday's press conference in which they talk about competition. And the coach said it's one of his core tenets that's right there at the top of the list of how he determines how good football players play. Are they willing to compete? Is Lane Johnson going to have to compete for the starting right tackle? Is Jason Kelce going to have to start to compete for the starting center position? Is Fletcher Cox going to have to compete for starting defensive tackle? I know the question started off about the quarterback, but the coach specifically took it to every position. Said, I'm not naming a starter anywhere. If these players are overly sensitive, did the coach open up potential issues by declaring no starters yesterday?
Jody, there is no way on God's green earth that Fletcher Cox will not be a starter.
Wait. The coach said he's not naming any starters.
Well, he's just, I think he was being more so of a guy that, he was wanted to stay away from the quarterback position. That's what he's trying to divert. He was trying to wag the dog in all actuality. He's trying to divert you over here, shake and bake, shake over here and go back over here. There's no way that, Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, they would look at him like he's crazy. In fact, if he said that, it went right over their head. He could be out on the field and let somebody go up in that right tackle position and Lane Johnson's healthy, or Brandon Brooks or Fletcher Cox. Let somebody go in that position. It would be a mass hysteria on that team, because those three, the respect factor that they have and understanding the level in which they play, there's no way that a guy will step into that. Now, the cornerback position.
Yeah. Barrett, now Jody brings up names like Fletcher Cox and Lane Johnson, Jason Kelce. These are proven all-pro level players.
Yes.
Why do people think Jalen Hurts should be in the conversation with them as a guy who's named the starter on April 21st? What has he done to be in the conversation with Fletcher Cox?
I got into it with even with the guys on the stream, and I got to it with Eitan and Harry about them. I'm like, look, at this point, when you go out to camp, of course, Hurts is gonna be the guy taking the starting reps. He'll be taking the starting reps, but will he be a guy that's gonna be able to overtake? I don't know. I mean, at this point, you got a guy that's proven, who's won a Super Bowl, understands how to read defenses. He's played against all those defenses. He knows tendencies of what other players want to do to him. He understands that the coach is trying to, get this out of the offense. All stuff that Jalen Hurts hasn't experienced before. So that experience is going to help Flacco out. So you will see a drastic difference between Flacco's game and Hurts's game. I mean, it's going to be a measurable difference because he understands how to be an NFL football player. At this point, Jalen Hurts is still a rookie until his fourth game. So he's not going to be advanced as Flacco. So, of course, Flacco's going to look better during camp, and he's going to look better probably the first couple weeks. But then Hurts, if he uses his athletic talent, he takes in the offense. He's going to do everything he can possibly do to be the best player he can be. But there is a slight chance that he will be better than Hurts. Flacco will be better than Hurts. And people need to understand that, they probably see that. And I'm going to tell you this, Flacco would not have signed here if he didn't have that opportunity. He would not have signed here. That's why he said what he said. I'm coming in. I'm going to compete. By the nature of being in that meeting room, yes, we're going to, transfer information, everybody. I'm going to learn from Hurts. Hurts is going to learn from me. But at the end of the day, I want to go out there and play. And that's what he meant, because that's what he was told. And I was saying that and nobody wanted to believe me. I'm telling you what they told him, and they really feel as though it's going to be a competitive quarterback, a competitive quarterback meeting room, and the best player will play. And if it's not Hurts, it might be Flacco.
We talked about this very situation earlier in the show, and myself, John, and Martin Franco, we out on all kind of agreed. If Joe Flacco wins the job,
that's bad news.
Man, that's
very bad
not good news. Yeah. Any way you slice it, that's bad news. Because I'm sorry, Joe Flacco's not finding the fountain of youth and leading the Eagles to a 10-6 record next year. Just not happening.
It's not.
If Jalen Hurts can't beat him out at his advanced stage and his declining skills, well, then you've made a mistake by not drafting a quarterback in this past draft. And I think they will take one, but it probably won't be till day 3. Barrett, don't really want to move away from the draft, but I don't want to forget this, so I'm going to ask it of you here. The NFL right now is dealing with an issue between the Players Association and the teams. They came out with statements from 20 some odd teams. We're not going to participate in any voluntary activities. And then they started the voluntary activities and a bunch of players showed up. Not all, but a goodly number for each team and the like. You're a former player. You know what the league schedule was, what was voluntary, what wasn't voluntary. Yes, it's changed because you can do things remotely via Zoom. It's just not the same, but at least that's an option. That wasn't an option when you were playing. How important are all these voluntary camps? Will we see a drop-off in play if guys are just saying, well, I'll hop on my computer and we can talk about it, but I'm not showing up at the facility to be able to work out during the offseason?
You'll see a definite drop in play. I mean, just to be honest, just to keep it 100, a lot of those guys are there because they probably need the money. They probably spend all their money because everything's prorated over 17 weeks. And those players get like $2,500 a week to participate in all those running and lifting and all that type of stuff, workouts. That's probably the major reason why you see a lot of the young guys there trying to get a little extra money. Number two, you want to hone your skills. You want the coach to see you out there. You want, it's like out of state. Out of sight, out of mind. It's the exact same thing. You want the coach to be like, oh, look at this kid. He wants to be here. He's been to every workout. He's done everything we've asked him to do. That's huge when you're trying to make a team, especially a younger guy. Guys like, Brandon Brooks and, Fletcher Cox, they're not worried about that. But when you have a guy like, that's coming in and trying to, really make the team, like all the linebackers and all the cornerbacks, with the exception of Big Play Slay, all those guys need to be in the system. They need to be learning what this coaching staff is going to propose to them. They don't know what type of defense they're going to run. They don't know what type of offense. So a lot of those guys are going to be there anyways, just so they can get a leg up. They want to gain every advantage they can get. And the only way you can do that is being there, being present. Plus, when you have a position like the offensive line, you have to know the guy next to you. You have to see what he's thinking. You got to build a camaraderie between you. You got to understand that, or if you see this Emmy blitz coming, it's got to be seen, not even heard. It's almost got to be where, all right, you see this happening. You got to trust that Lane and Brooks pick it up, because it's not a way to which they can bounce each other off of it. It's just got to be something that came with reps, and they understand what they need to do before they need to do it. You can only do that when you're around the player and you've been involved with the player intimately to go through those type of situations. So you have to be there. You have to be there. It would be a terrible game for everybody if they don't get these camps in. They have to get these camps in. That's why they have that's why they can go out there and get the shots now. They can get immunized so they can be around each other. They must have camp. It's a necessity.
Yeah, certainly, the entertainment value, just the aesthetic value of the game is going to go down if you don't prepare. It's common sense.
No question. Yep.
If you don't practice, you don't get better. But you bring up a good point, Barrett, and the fact that the NFLPA is in a difficult spot because, they work very hard to get, better quality of life for the players, scale back in the offseason. So, you guys could do what you want to do in your off time. But on the other hand, voluntary work isn't really voluntary if you're a middle of the road guy, back of the roster guy, as you mentioned, out of sight, out of mind. If you don't show up, they're just going to go to the next guy. So I don't know how you solve that problem. You
have to be there.
Yeah.
You got to be there.
It's not even a solvable problem. So I do want to shift to the draft because we got to get to the draft. Number 12 overall. I was talking to Daniel Jeremiah yesterday on this conference call. He brings up that kid from USC. I don't know how deep you've delved into the offensive line.
Very
deep.
Yeah.
I want to get, obviously Sewell is great. Slater's great. Then to me, number 3 is Barrett Tucker. And with Jody, I compared him to Zach Martin because when Zach Martin was coming out of Notre Dame, he played left tackle. But everyone said he can play anywhere. He's going to be a star if you put him at left guard, right tackle, anywhere. He's turned into a 6-time All-Pro. So Jeremiah said on Barrett Tucker, this guy is the cleanest, one of the safest picks in the draft because you can play him anywhere but center. Is that what you see?
Yes, absolutely. He'll be a functional, he'll be a good tackle in the league. but you put him in a smaller environment at the guard position where he has someone on either side of him, he'll be great. I know when I made that transition from being a tackle into playing guard, it elongated my career 6 more years because it was so much easier to be in there instead of going against guys like Derek Thomas and, Mr. White and all those guys. It was easier in the inside, even with Warren Sapp, because you have less of an area to cover. And this kid's an athlete too. He can run to the second level. He has, great technique. He can be physical. He is a safe bet. He played tackle. He played a little guard also, but I see him as a great guard and a good tackle. And that's exactly what the Eagles like. They love that. They love the ability to guys to switch from different positions. Look at all the guys they have playing for him now. They all can play different positions. He would be perfect in the system for the Eagles if they did pick him up. Now drafting him at number 12, I think that's kind of a stretch for his talent. I think if you're going to draft a guy in the first round, ordinarily it would probably be a tackle. But I think that, he's if they trade it back, he's one of those guys. He should be drafted right around 25, 26. He's still a really, really good player. But, I don't think at this point that he would, you would get the value of a number 12 draft pick for him at number 12. I just can't see it.
If they were to take him, which I kind of agree with you, Barrett, he's not meritorious of the 12th pick in the draft. Get into the 20s, yeah, I'm certainly looking at him. That's where I would rank him, so it makes more sense. Hook or by crook, the Eagles end up with this kid, either overdrafting him at 12 or trading back and getting him in the 20s where he belongs. Where's the first position they work him out at in camp this year?
Well, he's going to be probably backing up both guards. We know that, at this point, Brandon Brooks has had some injury problems, and we also understand Kelsey.
What if he's a better left tackle than either Dillard or Mailata?
I think they're going to leave that position alone. I think they're going to let those two battle it out. They need to let either one of those guys get as many reps as they can get and stabilize. I don't think that he would be a guy to come in and take the position.
You would not let him get the reps at left tackle. You just tell him you're a guard. We drafted you. You're now a guard. Even though you played left tackle at USC, we're not going to give you a chance to compete. Wait a minute. Didn't I hear the coach say it's all about competition yesterday?
Right.
Shouldn't he be given a chance to compete against Mailata and Dillard at left tackle if that's the case?
Well, they're already struggling with the fact that Dillard probably won't win the position anyways. It's probably going to be Jordan Mailata, and they feel they're embarrassed because of that anyways. That's number one. So they don't want to put any more embarrassment to that position. Number two, they need somebody to back up the guard and the center position. He would be that guy. And I wouldn't say he would play center, but hey, if something happened to Kelsey, and there's a good chance, because like I say all the time, Kelsey's held together by halfway through the season by duct tape and bubble gum. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to rivet them every once in a while, just to have him come on the field. But if something happens to Kelsey, they just move Sayal Malo down, put Vera Tucker there at the left guard position, and they can keep rolling.
Yeah. Now, by the way, I don't think the Eagles are taking Barrett Tucker at number 12. So did you get any breadcrumbs from Howie and Andy speaking? They mentioned a little bit, obviously they're not going to mention players by name, but they talked about players can come in different sizes, which people connected to Devontae Smith, and maybe they'd be comfortable with that. Where are you? We're a week away, Barrett. What do you think this team is going to do? Traditionally, we know the tradition. I say it all the time. Offensive line, defensive line. Yeah.
Yep.
But are they going to go away from that?
I think they're going to go away from it. And I think number one, it'll probably be a DB. And number two, it'll be a receiver. There'll be one of those two positions. It really depends. If any of the big three of cornerbacks will be there, they'll definitely pick up one of those big three. But if it's, if
even Barrett Farley because of the back injury,
I think they love him. I think they don't have a problem with picking him up, because everybody's saying he's healthy now. I think he's healthy now. And just what I'm seeing, I think they would pick up Khalid Farley if he's there. But if those three aren't there, then I think they go with Devontae Smith, because I think Waddle will be taken before him earlier in the draft.
All right, last one for me, Barrett. Going back to your playing days again. you were a offensive lineman.
Yep.
Who did you relate to better, wide receivers or cornerbacks? Was it an offensive thing? If you're outside by your offense, we got to get the better of those defensive guys. Or did you appreciate a defensive guy if they could actually cover one of your guys on the outside? As an offensive lineman, who did you relate to more, wide receivers, corners?
I related more so to corners because we both play the game backwards. I'm playing against a guy. If I'm lining up against a guy, defensive end, he can outrun me if we line up head to head. And I'm trying to block him going backwards. So same thing with DBs. They're playing the game backwards also. So I say, you know what? I tend to look towards, DBs and understand that, man, you're out on the island too. I'm out on the island. You play the game backwards. I play the game backwards. You playing against guys that can outrun you in a straight line, but you still have to cover them. These guys that I'm going against, they could definitely outrun me, and I'm playing the game backwards. So I tended to look more as at DBs and understanding their plight, and and it kind of resemble what I'm going through every day.
Barrett, last one from me. I'm going to sneak this one in because I have such respect for Jeff Stoutland. I don't think I've ever asked you the difference between offensive line coaches that you've been with. This guy develops, Jordan Mailata is the perfect example. We're talking about him as a potential starting left tackle. This guy couldn't put on his helmet. I was there day one. He started from literally ground zero, and he's turned him into a potential starting left tackle. How much do offensive line coaches how much can they help you?
Well, at this point, he's going to be the only thing that saves this team. If he can get that offensive line playing to the ability that I think they can play at, they'll end up winning more games than people give them credit for, because they played with a makeshift offensive line last year and got the quarterback killed. Well, he's feeling some sort of way about that. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I really think that he's going to take it to another level, have those guys playing, and he's going to be feeding those guys, honestly, gunpowder and hot sauce. He's going to be so fired up that he got the quarterback killed that he's going to make sure them guys don't get touched this next year coming up. So, Stoutland's probably the best offensive line coach in the league because he took a guy from nothing, molded him, and made him into a pretty damn good offensive tackle in the league.
All right, last thing, and it's not going to be a question, Barrett. It's a suggestion. Seeing as you let Harry Mays lead you astray yesterday during the middle, I'm suggesting it's sometime in the first hour of the middle, you challenge him to rock, paper, scissors. I think you guys have to have it out on the show today. This first hour, second hour, at some point, you got to take Harry Mays down and rock, paper, scissors.
He's going to be cranky.
A suggestion from the varsity. Whether you actually accept it or not, I'm not sure. But the varsity is suggesting you have a throwdown, rock, paper, scissors with Harry today.
The first hour, he's cranky anyways. I'm not having any of that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not having that. How he is. He's grumpy the first hour.
Wait till hour number 2. Barrett, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it greatly.
Appreciate it.
That's our guy, Barrett Brooks. You can see him every day on the middle right here on the JAKIB Media channel. We'll come back the final couple minutes of this Thursday edition of Birds 365 with Mac and Mac. Stick around.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.